Okay, hello again. This is now tarot lesson number 93, and I'd like to continue on a bit with this horoscope spread and show you what can be done with it, because it can get really sophisticated and really in depth, because we've got 12 areas of life represented by each of the 12 houses: the self, values, brothers and sisters, father and home, children, sickness, partnerships, death and regeneration, philosophy, career and business, friends and hopes and aspirations, and karma. And any house can be read from the point of view of any other house, but we'll get to that. So this is the self, and this shows partners. So you can get an idea of who you are at the moment. Okay, I should mention we're looking at a horoscope spread, and it's got a certain lifespan, right? We're not looking at the rest of your life. So maybe what we do is, if we're doing a horoscope spread for somebody, we think, okay, tell me about the next 6 months or the next 8 months. The next 10 years is too much, because too much can happen. So if we look at the next few months, we're going to find out what's important and what's happening and what's going to happen, and what's to be learned about or what's to be experienced by the question over the next few months. So this is you, or this is the questioner, and this is the partnership, and other people involved in the life. So you can, okay, so this is the self, the Ace of Cups reversed. So at the moment you're feeling unhappy, because Cups is love and so on, but it's upside down, so you feel unloved. So you take this first card, and it's love, but it's upside down. So you, in your own way, use whatever expression you would make use of to describe unhappiness or dissatisfaction with life, or you want to make a fresh start with a romantic relationship, for instance, but it's being denied, or maybe you asked somebody out and they said no, so you're feeling disappointed and deflated. So we get an idea of what kind of shape the questioner is in at the moment. Is there somebody in their life? We look to this. Let's say they're unattached at the moment, and we get the King of Cups. So that's you, or that's the questioner, and that's the partnership, the King of Cups. So yes, there's somebody there. It's somebody older because it's a king, right? So it's not like if it had been a page here, then whatever age you are, it would have been somebody a couple of years younger. So if you're 22, you meet somebody who's 20, it's a page. But because, let's say the person asking is 30, they're going to meet somebody, or there's somebody who is a bit older, maybe 35, 38, is going to come into their life. And they're going, because it's a king and upright, they're going to be well established, sure of themselves, confident, quite well off, I imagine, because it's coins, which is money. But also they're sort of stable. So you may be unstable, or you may be moody and emotional, but you're going to meet somebody who is maybe going to set you straight, or who's going to be able to give you a stability. So that's looking at this and looking at this at the same time, and putting the two cards together and seeing what we get. And this means that if this is your child, let's say it's a 40-year-old, they've got one, or let's say somebody who's 16, they've got a grown-up child. This is the child, the world. So your child is in good shape. They're confident, they're optimistic, they're happy, they're successful. All things that go with the world. But then you want to know about the child's marriage partner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This card will give us indication about this child's marriage partner. So if we had the Nine of Pentacles upside down, then the marriage partner of their first child is going through financial difficulty because it's coins and it's upside down. And then maybe you would ask the questioner, does that make sense? And they say, yes, the person was recently let go from their job. So, you can talk about it, or you can maybe ask the questioner what sense the card makes. But we've got the Nine of Pentacles upright. So the child is represented by the world, and the child's partner is represented by the Nine of Pentacles. So the marriage is probably going well. They're well off. They're successful. And because this shows a person in the countryside. Maybe they just bought a cottage, or they're buying a second home, or one way or the other, things are going well for them. So what I wanted to talk about today was the second house. Let me just turn these back. So this is you, right? This is the second house. The second house here represents the value sense, what you care about. And so we've got here the Hierophant upside down. So this can be also, the Hierophant, we might say, represents religion and philosophy, or having an idea of why we're in life, or wanting to understand more about deeper meaning of life or circumstance, whatever it happens to be. But it's upside down. So it could be that you're unhappy, the Ace of Cups upside down, because you're not sure why you exist, or because you're not sure of why we have difficulties in life, what they're for, what we're meant to learn from them. So you might want to say to the questioner, if you begin to look at what happens and try and figure out why it's happening, or what you're meant to learn from it, or what the object of it is, then you're going to feel happier, and you're also going to make sense of it. So maybe at this point, with the Hierophant reversed, you, the reader, give a little bit of philosophy. Maybe there's a quote comes to mind, or a line from a song. I like to quote Bob Dylan because he says so much that's valuable and useful. So maybe when I'm looking at this, I remember a lyric from a song, and I tell the questioner that, because I trust that if I think of that particular song, it's going to be valuable or useful for the questioner. Or maybe I can't think of anything offhand at the moment, but maybe you think about philosophy. So maybe you mention that, as an example, we get back what we give out. There's cause and effect in life, and we get back what we give out. So if we're being unhappy and miserable, we're going to attract unhappy and miserable people who will compound the misery that we're experiencing, because we get back what we give out. So maybe you explain that to the questioner, that you get back what you give out. If you don't like what's coming back, you don't try and change what's coming back. You change what you're giving out. You change you. And then because there's cause and effect, you get something different back. So you look at yourself and figure out what kind of mood you're in, and what kind of experiences you're attracting. And so you do something about your own self. You find inner peace, or you do something that will give you satisfaction. And that will mean that you get back different experiences from life. And because the Hierophant can represent philosophy, maybe what you do is you read some ideas about why we're in life. So maybe you the reader, have found one or two books that were valuable and useful. There's one called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which is good, about how this fellow gets himself together. So maybe you mention that book, or maybe, again, it depends what comes to mind at the time of the reading. Maybe you talk about a video that you watched on YouTube. There's a fellow called Cal Newport who talks about it only takes 4 months to get your life sorted out. Or maybe you were reading about the 90-day plan, where you figure out what you want to. You take 90 days and you figure out what kind of situation you want to be in 3 months from now. And you write that down, and then you figure out how you're going to get there. You're just 3 months, which is only not too far away, but it's a little bit in the distance. So after 30 days, you make sure that you're still on track. And if you're not, you change things so you are on track. And after 60 days, you do the same. You think of it as a milestone. So with the Hierophant reversed here, you pass on some information to the questioner that's going to help them develop a better philosophy of life. So maybe you talk about the law of attraction and explain something about the law of attraction, or you talk about, I don't know, a parable. Maybe depending if you know the Bible, maybe you talk about a parable, or maybe in Toronto there's going to be an exhibition of Rumi something or other, Rumi the poet. And so maybe you think about, maybe you know something about Rumi and what he said. So maybe you give them a quote or two and tell them to go and read Rumi. Or you talk about the I Ching, or you talk about the Dhammapada, or sayings of the Buddha, whatever it happens to be, whatever your philosophy is, you pass on something that you've discovered as useful to make things better, or to give you a better understanding of what's going on, and you tell the questioner, and that will help them to take the cup upside down and turn it upright, make them better, make them feel more settled. So, because the second house is the value sense, you can look at the fifth house, which is your child, right? And the sixth house shows their value sense. So if you want to know what does my child care about at the moment, and what is my child going to be caring about over the next 6 months, over the next few months, you turn this card here. And that's the child, and that's the value sense, and it's the emperor. They've got the child was represented by the world, and that's their values. They care about long-term stability, because the emperor runs an empire which lasts for a long time. So they care about long-term stability. They've got high goals, high expectations. They want to achieve great things in this life. And because the card is upright, they're going to be able to do it. They're going to meet people who will help them in the direction they want to go. And this is all very well, but let's say the person wants to know, okay, tell me more about this King of Pentacles. What is this king about? What does this king care about? And we get the Two of Cups. So this king, this person, this older person who is stable, cares about people. We've got the Two of Cups here. This person cares about good relationships. They're aware of other people and their needs and their requirements, and they're willing to help them out or do what the other person needs. So this looks like a good fit with here, because the questioner is unhappy and unsure and emotional. But this person is a good example, a good role model, but because they care about the Two of Cups, they're also going to be a good influence on this individual, represented by the Ace of Cups, but upside down. And you can take, so this is brothers and sisters, and this is what the brothers and sisters care about, their value sets. And this is your friends, the 11th house. And this is what your friends care about, the Empress. So you do something with the Nine of Pentacles and the Empress. So they're well off, they're financially stable and financially secure, and they like to buy stuff because they like comfort, and they like to maybe travel a bit and go and stay in nice hotels, and they like to have nice possessions around them, comfortable possessions. So if they're going to buy new dining room table. They'll buy a big table that looks good and with nice chairs that go with it, comfortable chairs to sit on. That's one way of looking at the Nine of Pentacles and the Empress. So step 2 might be, once you've looked at the different people, or you've asked yourself questions about tell me what my brothers and sisters are like and what's going on with them. So you can then add some extra details about the life of whoever it is that you're asking about. And you can begin to put together a more detailed story, depending on the cards that come up. But that's only step 2, and we'll find that there's an awful lot more you can do with it. But if you give yourself a little bit of time to practice with 1 card and then 2 cards, and put the 2 cards together and tell a story that makes sense to you based on the cards that come up. Because remember, at this point, we're still practicing on our own, and we're looking to see what kind of things we might talk about to the questioner, so that when the card, under any we're looking at any spread, when the card comes up, we're no longer seeing it for the first time or trying to figure out what to say about it. We've had practice coming up with answers. Okay, that was it. Thanks for watching. I'll be back in a few days and we'll look a bit more. I hope you're enjoying this. We'll take a look a bit more at the horoscope and how we can begin to put 3 cards together, or 4 or 5, and ultimately we get a more complete picture of what's going on in the life of the questioner, or anybody the questioner cares about. Okay, so I'll see you in a few days. Okay, bye-bye.